Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure, my genuine pleasure now to introduce Dr. Ian Gawler, OAM. I think known throughout Australia as a long-term cancer survivor, a man with one leg, one lung, who has helped tens of thousands of people both to live and to die with a sense of resilience and hope. Now in his early 60s, he has embraced with a passion the digital revolution, and in your bags you'll see information about mind-body mastery, a mechanism for reaching an even greater audience. Would you please welcome Ian Gawler.
Thank you, Juliet. Isn't it great to be alive? Can I suggest you'd like to join me, just stand up for a minute, have a bit of a stretch, and if you'd like to take a half turn to your left, there's a nice pair of shoulders in front of you, and they're really going to enjoy getting a rub. So, probably nice once you get started to do this in silence. Keep going, but just in silence, folks. Quiet. Now, if the Christians have got it right, keep going, we'll turn around a minute. If the Christians have got it right, and man and woman were made in God's image, then at the moment you've got your hands on God. So this should be a gentle, tender sort of thing. And now you might like to turn around and return the favour. And if you haven't done this before, just notice what feels good for you and pass it on. It'll get down the line fairly quickly. So now you might just like to thank the person on either side and take a seat again. So, I've been asked to speak on living well and dying well. I'm not too sure why they asked me, particularly about the dying well business, because I haven't been very successful with that. In fact, I've come very close to dying about 9 times. Twice nearly drowning while I was out in pretty wild seas body surfing. 3 times sort of flying through the air after just parting with a motorbike I was riding fairly quickly at the time. A couple of times with significant illnesses. And then there were just a couple of near-death experiences thrown in for good luck. So it seems like I've been better at surviving than dying. But I guess the reality of the matter is, through the cancer work that I've been involved with for over 30 years, I have worked quite closely with well over 10,000 people that have died. And some of those people I got to know very well. And they really have taught me a great deal about why attending to death actually helps you to live better. And I guess there's a couple of really significant things to point out. And the first one is one that I think a lot of people find surprising, and it is how many of the people that I've worked with say that actually, in retrospect, they think the diagnosis of cancer was one of the best, if not the best, things that ever happened to them. Now, I haven't actually met anyone who said that on the day of diagnosis, but a great many who said it months or even years later and looking back. And when you think, well, why would that be? It seems to me it's pretty clear in our culture that people live in one of 2 ways, and that is either in fear and denial of death, or in a way that's informed by death. And what I would suggest to you is the first is more naturally appealing and may seem easy in some ways, but the second is actually far more potent in terms of living a good life, far more useful actually. So I think what these people have worked out is that they've found a way through addressing their mortality to overcome the fear of dying, and at the same time recognise that while death is real, and the fact is it can come without warning. I've known cancer patients who've been hit by cars. That's a little joke, folks. Oh dear. I was making that joke in a group in Adelaide, a group of people who are dealing with cancer, and I don't know if you've ever been in a room where you know you've said something bad, but you don't know what it was. And I asked, and they'd actually had that experience. Somebody in the group had been at a cancer meeting. They'd been talking about death and dying, literally. The person had gone out onto the road and got cleaned up by a car and killed outside. Sometimes people get told they got 3 months to live as if that's a guarantee. So I guess what the people I've worked with have realised that there isn't that guarantee, that you can do all that you can to preserve life, and that's an honourable thing and a worthwhile thing, but you really don't know when your life's going to end. And if you live in that light, then it cuts through all the procrastinating, the uncertainty, the living on automatic, the compromises, and it forces people to actually think, well, if I only have a shorter period of time, how's the most useful way that I can use that? But I guess still there's another sort of element, if there's a real secret behind all this, and that is, if when we die, and the reality is when we die, we lose so much, our body dies, our emotions and our normal mind dies, then what is there to cling on to? And how is it that so many of the people I've known seem to find a peace within them that enables them to approach death with a good heart and without fear? So I think this is where the secret lies, is that with the mind, there are actually these two aspects of the mind. There's the normal thinking mind, normal thoughts that come and go. And you could use the analogy of clouds that sort of come and go in the sky. But then there's a deeper nature, a second aspect to our mind that most people aren't so familiar with. But it's really very much like that blue sky that we can see. It's very evident as the background or the true nature of the sky that we are familiar with. It's there all the time. It's pure, it's pristine, it's vast. It's unstainable, which is really helpful to know. And that clouds just come and go. And I think many people, through the practice of meditation, have become more familiar with the nature of their mind, both the thinking mind, and found ways to settle that so that the mind's clearer and calmer, and that relieves stress, relieves anxiety, leads to all sorts of physiological and psychological healing in itself, but then more profoundly to start to connect with that more essential nature of the mind. And it's all very well, I think, to intellectualise about that, and it's nice to have that sort of framework, but perhaps it might be more useful if we have some little attempt at a little glimpse of an experience. So I thought perhaps if you might like to join me, if you've got anything on your lap, can I just suggest you pop it on the floor for the moment so you won't be disturbed? And then it's probably best to sit fairly upright. So it might help to push your backside back into the chair that you're in. Good to have your feet just flat on the floor, a little apart, and then just find where your hands are comfortable. I'd probably imagine in the chairs that you're in, just resting on your thighs would work well. And then perhaps you might like to join me for a few moments. Just let your eyes close gently. And just in closing your eyes, probably notice something of a shift in awareness. Become a little more aware of the sounds around about you. Probably notice the background hum of the air conditioning. Maybe there's the occasional sound drifting in from outside. And the aim is just to notice these sounds. It's just like with a gentle curiosity, being interested in noticing what sounds come to your awareness moment by moment. So just in this particular moment, what sounds are you aware of? And if there's not much, that's okay. And when a sound does come to your awareness, just be content to allow it to come when it's ready, go when it's ready. And aim to be free of any judgment about whether you like the sound or would rather it stopped or rather it stayed. Aim to let go of any commentary like, what's the sound about? What's it doing? Where's it going? Just be interested to notice it, just like the pure sensation. What sounds can I hear in this particular moment? So again, it's like that gentle curiosity. It's just like you're sitting back comfortably, just interested to notice what sounds are coming to your awareness moment by moment. And then if you listen more closely and bring your attention to your own body, you might even be able to notice the subtle sounds of your own breath. As you're breathing in or breathing out, just listen closely and perhaps you can notice some subtle sounds accompanying your breath. And as you do bring your attention to your breath, just notice that natural feeling of relaxing a little with the out-breath. Breathing out, there's just that natural tendency to let go a little, relax a little. The breath becoming a little longer and finer, subtler. Just feeling the ease of it all. The ease of it all, just going with it. Relaxing, releasing, just simply letting go. And now take your attention up to that point between your eyes, a little into the forehead. And you'll probably notice there what's like a point of stillness, like a still, quiet center. So just hold your attention now lightly on that point of stillness. Maybe it feels a bit like watching the screen behind your eyelids. Just holding your attention lightly on that point of stillness. And now, if any sounds do come to your awareness, they can help to emphasize that sense of the sounds being outside and this stillness being inside. So it's like you just hold your attention on the stillness and allow any sounds to come when they're ready, go when they're ready. A bit like white clouds drifting by in a blue sky. They just come when they're ready, go when they're ready. Quite effortlessly. Effortlessly, just simply letting go. And if any thoughts do come to your awareness, just the same. Just let them come when they're ready, go when they're ready. A bit like white clouds drifting by in a blue sky. They just come when they're ready, go when they're ready. It's a bit like we move our attention from the clouds to the sky, from the thoughts to the stillness, and just holding our attention lightly on that stillness now for a few moments. A bit like we can merge into it, just resting in that stillness, relaxing, releasing, just simply letting go. That's good. Good. Good when you're ready now. Just let your eyes gently open again. So you might like to just have a little stretch while you're sitting there. So there's over 7,000 studies now in the literature attesting to meditation's benefits for physical and psychological reasons or benefits. And that's all very good. And I think a lot of people these days come into meditation because of wanting to feel better, to be happier, to be less anxious, less stressed, improve their health. But there's really more to it. There's this opportunity to get to know your own mind, more particularly. And so I'd really commend it to you. I hope in that little practice, it's a chance for those of you to who are familiar with meditating to find a little peace in the afternoon, and for those who are newer to it, particularly get that sense of that deeper stillness that's beyond the thought. It's really useful to go beyond the thought into that deeper stillness. And I just wanted to sort of round off by being a vet. I enjoyed hearing Peter Singer talking this morning, and I really enjoyed his images that he was conjuring up with the little girl floundering around in the lake. And there's an adult sort of version of that story, and there's a man in a river, and he's floundering around and very close to drowning, and there's nobody around, but not all hope is lost, because on the bank is a dog, and out of respect to Gordon, it's a black dog. And the fella sings out, "Lassie, Lassie, get help." So in your mind, you have to go to the next scene, which is the psychiatrist's room, and Lassie's lying back on the couch. So close. Look, in concluding, I just wanted to thank the organisers for inviting me to speak. I had the great honour yesterday of talking at the pre-conference retreat workshop with my teacher, Soga Rinpoche, which was quite a delight. But I really wanted to thank them for these. You might have think, well, you've forgotten to take it off, but this is fantastic, isn't it? Look at how big this label is, and this is really good if you're not sure who you are. And the good thing, the best thing about it is you get multiple choice. So if you have a look on this side, this is really good. It says, if I'm not too sure who I am, it tells me I'm Dr. Ian Gawler. And actually down the bottom here, it's got that I'm a speaker. So not only does it tell me who I am, it tells me what I do. And the bit I really like about it is it tells me where I am in the Sydney Town Hall. But then it actually tells me I'm going to be here tomorrow. So I was thinking tonight I'd go out and do something really dangerous because it says it here, I'm going to be here tomorrow for sure. But then if you turn it over, it's really good on the other side because this is like the pure light. This is like the clear light nature of your own mind. So thank you for the who I am, and thank you for your attention. I hope you do a little bit of meditation and have a really long and happy life. And really, if you want to have a long and happy life, I've got a great wife. If you want a long and happy life, remember death. The more often you think of death, the more often it will remind you to live well. And then if you want to die well, it's really easy. Have a good life. Because when it comes to the moment of your death, there are two things that are most important. One is the sort of life that you've led, and the other is the state of your mind. So if you remember death, it will remind you, why wait? You know, if there are people you need to improve your relationship with, need to forgive, get over it, why wait till you're on your deathbed? Or why wait until you get hit by the bus and you miss it altogether? You know, if there are things that are important to you, remember death. Who knows how long you've got? Why not do it now? Wasn't Ando spectacular? So thank you, everybody.